Today's guest is a Chicago poet and also a teaching artist at the Young Chicago Authors. She was the first ever Youth Poet Laureate for the city of Chicago. Her book of poetry is called Commando. She also has a podcast, The Real Hoodwives of Chicago. My pleasure, one of my favorites, a tremendous talent, poet Iman Loren. Poet Iman Loren, welcome to the Pandemic Talk Show. Iman, good to see you. Good to see you. How are you?
Hi, Justin. I too have been listening to Paul McCartney as well. So yeah.
Oh, all right. There you go. You got it down. How is the sheltering in place been for you? How's the stay-at-home order been for you?
I've always loved my home. So I really hope that I get to stay here. And I'm hoping, I've thought about making an OnlyFans account, but other people have beaten me to it. So the competition is scarce right now. So hopefully people buy my book, and so I won't have to. But I might read poems on my OnlyFans account, so that's where I'm at right now.
That's good. For you, because you're a performance poet, you're a teaching artist. You do a lot of stuff for Young Chicago Authors, and I've seen you perform in front of hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands of people. So how do you reconcile with that part of your life having to be put on hold, put on pause as a performance poet? Are you digging on the idea of this kind of stuff like Zoom or doing the podcast? How are you adjusting?
I'm really appreciative of this platform right now specifically. It really means so much that we've got to see each other in both forms. Being that I am a teaching artist at Young Chicago Authors, we just finished Louder Than a Bomb, and we inserted ourselves into the virtual space. Me being a performance artist, I'm kind of thinking about what can I do to still get that. This has unfortunately shut down a lot of my gigs, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just trying to make the best out of myself. And just really being gentle with myself is the most important thing. I feel also something that this whole pandemic has has made me realize is where my mentality is, what makes my mentality feel secure, what makes my emotions feel secure. And social media is a devil right now for me. Feel like you gotta, yes, right? Feeling like you gotta be on the TikTok wave, or feeling like you have to, can I curse on here? I can't curse on here.
You can do whatever you want.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks. So feeling like I have to be a shit poster in order to go viral on Facebook, right? I have a few uncles and some dudes I've never fucked before. So it's I'm wow, okay, well, I guess this is the way. So I'm keeping to myself, and people who want me, they will find me in the way that they
can. It's interesting because you talk about just taking care, learning from this experience and taking care of yourself and putting yourself first, especially your emotions. It's hard to do that when we're not in these positions where we have to, you know what I mean? Before this, even in our lives, how did you take care? How did you cope? How did you make sure that you put yourself first before we were stuck in quarantine?
I would love to say that I would. I wish I could be one of those women. I'd be I was so organized. I had my Google Calendar. I had my planner, and I still don't have none of that. You know what I'm saying? So, before it was just morning pages and just having some type of routine. And I guess for me, it's still making sure I upkeep some type of routine, because I could be a really dirty birdie. Who do I need to put deodorant on for? Not nobody, right? But I guess a routine for me now is just getting up out of bed, actively making my bed, actively going somewhere to sit down and write 3 pages of my day, actively making a poached egg. And I make beautiful poached eggs, so that's really what has been harnessing for me, is just keeping some type of routine. So hopefully when we do come out of this, it won't be that big of a transition.
I will say this, TJ's whole family is so dirty right now because he's been using the bathroom as the studio. So it's they're having to bathe and wash themselves in the living room, which is tough.
I don't mean to cut a business deal, but Iman, I do this as a studio space. It's about $5,000 an hour. We can work out a good rate. It's just, my bathroom's a wonderful place.
I'm not gonna lie, that shit is fire. That shit is sexy as hell, right?
I get it. I'm gonna shower. Okay, thank you.
Right, yes. Wait, do the scrub-a-dub-dub and play.
Are you? Iman, are you writing? Are you doing creative work in this time? Do you find yourself motivated to do it?
Yeah, Yeah, so right now I've been inspired to do a lot of visual work. So I'm also a visual artist. The last work that I had exhibit in a visual show was a collaboration between Slaps. They like produce art on like these postage slaps, and they did a collaboration with YCA, and I posted some work there. And so I've just been doing a lot of like visual work right now. Been thinking about like what podcasting is looking like for me moving forward, because my podcast is like a guest reliable type of show, where we do talk about, you know, intimacy, relationships, et cetera, and all of that is kind of on a standstill. So I'm just also just trying to trust myself enough that people will want to listen to what I have to say for a full hour. And just get into these poems. Just get into these poems. That's all I'm like really trying to do right now. Just keep staying to these poems.
Uh-oh.
I think Justin's had a stroke. I don't know
Justin
if
is
we
either frozen.
Oh no. Justin looks like he got good health care though, so he'll be good.
Sure does.
All right. Hopefully,
Yeah.
all right.
Justin, can you hear us?
That's good to know. Hopefully we're back. Am I back? I hope I'm back. I don't know.
You're back, Justin.
It's probably my son. He's probably downstairs, you know, on Twitch right now watching somebody play a video game.
I think it's a bonus feature. You never know when the show is just going to stop, and it's live. So there you go.
It's live. So Iman, and you know, I have such respect for you, and you've been at such a young age. You've created and you've accomplished so much. The podcast is called Real Hoodwives of Chicago. The book is Commando, the first ever youth poet laureate of the city of Chicago. You got a poem for us? Can we get one out of you before we let you go?
I read a poem from my book. So this is my book, Commando, published by Haymarket. Please don't buy it from Amazon. Get it for me. Right. I'll read a poem of the book that I feel like kind of like, for me, it just kind of reflects a lot of like what is going on right now. For me, right? Cool. It's called Commando Manifesto. I like to wear my heart on my sleeves, and I don't wear them much, 'cause Chicago rips them right off of you. So I like to get naked. Now I'm a chested tube top, left my shoulders of skyscrapers open, ready for a kiss, ready for a blow, a job I can finish. Mom calls me a clever girl, said I would figure it out, taught me how to get out and be open, so I stripped, gave men what they've been asking for, kept plenty of blade in my tongue, might have needs that make pain or take it away. I learned my place and made it a throne. I fuck royally, turned my bed into a mausoleum of offerings. My body is a sacrifice of my winnings, my trophies out in the open. Who else should I lay bare other than myself? So I choose to be commando, ready for action, ready to fight. For this land is mine, and it's still rich, and it's still ours, me, and whoever I choose to be with. For whatever reason, some call it a weak move, a vulnerable venture card, a roadmap of all my soft spots, easy targets. But here is where I plant my flag, because here might have been a pit stop for dudes who needed a home too. Chicago's bosom been sagging on there for a while now, so I give mine. Cook some meals, roll some blunts, and fuck for free, because that love shit costs nowadays. Ain't much up for profit anyway, but people still find a way. Use my name. Try to turn me into a gentrified zone. Throw some good words around me, add a splash of color, give me a stage and say work, bitch. I add the work, bitch. Some crack music, some real black ruthless. Grind my pretty and I talk real well. Deposit my dialects. Spit shine the ground I walk on, for this is mine. And nobody can take me. And that's that poem, y'all.
Wow. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm loving you.
That's our first live poetry read.
I know, it just froze up. I'm like, I heard half of that, and I'm bummed because that's not what I heard was great. And I don't know what's going on with this. Just shut it off and turn it back.
Hopefully it provided something for everyone.
Yeah, I know,
It was
right?
fantastic.
Iman Loren, the great Chicago poet who you can find the book Commando, buy it through her, and also her podcast, Real Hoodwives of Chicago. Iman, always, so great to see you. Thanks for being a
You
guest.
too.
again.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.